Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Farming Simulator 2017, and welcome back to Lone Oak Farm. So, as you can see, it is 1700. It's getting fairly late in the day, and it's been an interesting day, and I think this is going to be an interesting episode. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. We've got quite a bit going on, and I think it's going to be a fun episode. So, first thing, let's get our quad track going on field 43. Get rid of that. Field 43, there it is. Let's set, start here. 2 headlands after. Generate a course. Where do we start? Looks like right there. Nope, it's all the way over there. So the sugar beet harvest is nearly done, and I realize why I don't grow sugar beets very often. It has taken me like literally 8 hours of real life time to harvest these 2 sugar beet fields. For some reason, the Ropa Tiger 6, it's a beautiful mod. I love it. Well, I guess it's more of a DLC, but either way, it's awesome. I love it. But it does not, you can't put it on a worker, and you also cannot put it on course play. So we had to do that all manually. And it, as I was doing that, it's taken me, I did a couple hours per session during the week. But as I was working on it, I thought, I'm not really like mad or anything, because it is farming. Like, it's a farm simulator, right? So we're just farming. It's nothing to be There we go. It's nothing to be upset about. We're just farming. It was just interesting to me that there was no way to sort of get around it. Like, we were going to do it by hand. We were going to harvest every damn sugar beet. And what was also interesting is, I don't know if we're going to make any money from sugar beets. And you'll see, I got a couple fun things to show you here in a minute. We've got both the Tiger 6 and the Mouse on lease, right? So we paid like, I think $35,000 to lease each of them, and then we're paying an hourly fee as well. I really don't know if we're going to make any money, but we're certainly going to do our best. So this is all we got left, and I saved this little last bit for you. But man, and then I'll show you my plan. And like I said, I don't know if this is the way it's done in real life, but you can start to see it like right there at the top of the screen in front of the mouse. This was my plan. Rather than loading up a tipper and taking that tipper to the sell point every time the Tiger 6 was full, because I thought, well, that works, but we're going to have to keep getting out of our Tiger 6 and driving our tipper. And because we can't put the Tiger 6 on a worker, every time we get out of it to deliver our sugar beets to the sell point, that leased equipment that we're paying a rate on is not going to be moving. It's not going to be making us money. So I thought, well, the mouse is a real piece of equipment, so surely, right, the purpose of the mouse is to kind of scoop things up off the ground. Well, if you're scooping them up off the ground, they must have been dumped on the ground to begin with, and that's a real piece of real-life equipment. So I just said to myself, let's dump them on the ground, because then we don't need to worry about the tipper. The tipper has a fixed amount of capacity that it can hold, and when that capacity is reached, you have to go dump it somewhere. The ground is, you can dump all you want on the ground, so I felt like we wouldn't need to keep stopping the Tiger 6 and losing productivity on a piece of equipment that we were leasing. And then, after everything was harvested, we would return the Tiger 6, and now we would only have one piece of equipment on lease, right? And we would then make our trips to the sell point as we were loading up. As we were loading up with the mouse, right? That made perfect sense to me. I thought, well, there's a couple things that are interesting about my thought. First off, the pile, I've been kind of chipping away at it periodically. I will fill a couple tippers and take them down to the sell point just to make some money when we need it. But I believe at our peak, we ended up with about 1.7 million liters of sugar beets on the ground. And the thing is, we're only getting 200 pounds per 1,000 liters. So for both these massive fields that we got all the 1.7 million liters out of, after we sold them and after we deduct all the lease payments for the Tiger 6 and the Mouse, I think we might net maybe 100,000 pounds, 150,000 pounds. It's just been an unbelievable amount of time and effort put into harvesting these two fields, and for all that we'll get 100,000 pounds. And it's like, okay, for the same money we can do a tenth of the effort and just harvest grass. And I know that's a feature of the game that's maybe a little bit bugged out, that you can make so much money from grass. But I have to say, as I was doing this, I realized, like, oh yeah, this is why I don't mess with sugar beets and potatoes. It's just, for me anyway, it's hard to make money from them. And I mean, they're fun, and I'm really glad that I did this, because we did get to play with the DLC, and it's been fun. It's been farming, you know. It's that's the whole point of the game. But I have to say, it has been kind of a grind. Not necessarily the most fun that I've ever had farming. But like I said, it's going to be a very interesting episode because we have a ton of things to do and not a lot of time to do it. And now we started last episode at sunrise, and we're going to finish this episode. We got a minute yet. It's about 1700 going on 5:30. So we've got a minute, but it's very possible that we'll be finishing this episode in twilight as the sun sets. So this thing immediately needs to go back to the store, and we need to get this returned. I don't know how you can see. Yeah, we'll stay third person because you can't see crap with that thing up. But we'll get this returned to the store, and then we've got, let me see, we've got the quad track working. We'll get this going. I wanted to, okay, I'm trying to think of like the sequence to do everything in, but I think I have a sequence to do everything in, so that we can get in all the things I want to get in this episode. I think we can do this. I have confidence, yo. So it is, in real life, it's a little bit after 7 a.m. where I am. I woke up at 4. I'm very fortunate. The kind of schedule that I have and the kind of life that I have, I can set my own schedule. And I haven't woken up to an alarm clock in probably 3 or 4 years. But I still wake up between like 4 and 6. And that's for me, that's I guess a good sign that I'm getting enough sleep. And it's really easy to have a productive day when you started at 5 a.m. So it's a Monday, and it started off great. So hopefully this is going to be a super productive, super profitable week for me. And I'm really looking forward to gaming this week as well. Things are in my, I don't want to say my gaming world, but yeah, I guess my gaming world. But all the Sims that I'm playing right now, all the Sims that are on the channel right now, they're all going really, really well. I'm not having any struggles. So hopefully it's going to be just an awesome week in every possible way. That's that optimism, yo. You got to pump the positivity in this life. Somebody told me a while back that the whole world is waiting outside your front door, just absolutely ready to kick your ass at any moment. So don't help it, you know? Don't kick your own ass. The world will take care of that for you. Be positive. Be good to yourself. my little bit of philosophy for today. Now, I think it's going to make more sense to sell that first, and I'll tell you why. If we got it in the trigger, we can sell it. If we try to sell both and we sell the Tiger 6 first, or return it, I guess is a better way to say it. But if we screwed up landing in the trigger and we accidentally sold the Tiger first, then we would have no way to move that header into the trigger, and we'd be stuck with it, or we'd have to rent another Tiger. You know what I mean. Right. I brought this down here earlier because we bought another big tipper, and we bought this to haul sugar beets, and also because we needed an excuse to have a vehicle down here so we didn't have to run back or teleport back from the store. Right, so as quick as possible, we get back to the farm. Although, yeah, we only have... No, I take that back. We also have our sunflower harvester. That's on lease as well. And I picked that up right before I started the episode. Just so we'd already have it and I wouldn't be messing around with trying to lease equipment while we were recording. So, I'm going to take one... let me think of how I want to do this. I'm going to get the sunflower harvester started so we can have 2 workers going at the same time. Then I'm going to take this thing over and fill it with sugar beets and take it down and sell them, just to show you how that works. And then we will service our sunflower harvester, autosave. We will service our sunflower harvester with an auger wagon, get a tipper full of sunflower, and then take that down and sell it, and then we'll call it an episode. Ah. Did that all make sense? I think that all makes sense. The mouse, man, I have to say, the mouse is super cool. It's, I don't know if we would want to buy one. I mean, it's 500,000 pounds to buy it, and I don't know if we would use it enough, or if how you use it makes it worth it. Maybe in multiplayer, I don't know. It's a fun piece of equipment, but I just don't know if we would ever get like a good use out of it for that kind of money. But when we have money, like if we ever have money to burn, then definitely think about it. But you know, the wind turbines in this game are, I think, 1.2 million pounds to buy, right? And they make you, what, 25,000 pounds an hour or something? So if you ever have too much money, the best thing to buy is wind turbines, because they will make you all the money. Like, you get into a loop. Once you can buy a wind turbine, you get into a loop where you start making so much money with those things that you just can't spend it fast enough. There we go. So yeah, man, this is the mouse. It's got that crazy long sort of conveyor belt auger on the side of it. It's got that compensating counterweight on the other side that is all like locked in and coordinated with the auger. But you can see like how many sugar beets we have. It's just, it's like all of the sugar beets in the whole world. We got them. So I'm going to fill this thing one time and then get our sunflower harvester going. Oh, there was like a weird texture there. It looked like it was dumping it on the ground. Right. Come on. And I don't know how many trips we have to dump this whole pile. Probably 12 or 15 trips. So it's going to be a continuing grind off camera to get all these sold. And we get about 12,000 pounds per trip. So if there's 10 or 12 trips, we stand to make, or at least to gross, about 150,000 pounds just for what's on the ground. And like I said, when I try to do the math on it, like, you know, what are we actually going to make for all this? I think we may net a couple 100,000 pounds for all these sugar beets, but it has definitely been like, we've earned our money. Right. Let me turn this off too. No, that can run. It's just idling. So, over here to our sunflower harvester. I already have the header hooked up. We don't need to go on any roads. We just need to kind of drive across a couple fields so we can make the trip with the header on the harvester. We don't need to put it on a trailer. And I have our auger wagon and our tipper already staged over at the sunflower field. And I bought, if you look on the map, behind the sugar beet fields that we've been working in is field 33. It had sunflower in it from another farmer. We didn't plant it. It was just part of the, like, what was going on the map. So I bought it. It was, I think, 55,000 pounds. And we've got that other big sunflower field, field 45, that we planted sunflower in. So I figured if we were going to be harvesting sunflower anyway, if we were going to have the equipment, I don't know that we'll take 55,000 pounds worth of sunflower seeds out of this field. We may, and it typically goes for 1,000 pounds or more per 1,000 liters. So it could be that we make our money back for this field in one harvest. But I thought, let's, you know, since it's already planted, since it's already ripe, let's go ahead and just buy the field and harvest it. And that's what we're doing right now. Now, it hasn't been fertilized as far as I know, this field, so I don't know if the yield is going to be super good, but if we can get, I mean, if we can fill the tipper, that's 60,000 liters at 1,000 pounds per 1,000 liters. There's our 60 grand right there, 55,000 that we paid. So, how do we want to do this? Let's put it on a worker. And that's going to be right here. We want to go there, we want to go there, go there and there. Off, on. Okay. And I always put my least experienced worker on a job so we can level them up. There we go. Just opening up there. Beautiful. Like I said, our grain cart is right here, and I've used a bunch of different grain carts. I don't know if I'm like looking for the perfect one or whatever, but this is from the Horsch DLC, and I honestly don't think I've ever used it before. I really don't, but I thought it looked like fun, and it's on tracks, which is, that's always kind of fun too. So we'll give this a try, and now I'm looking, and this field that we're harvesting right now looks like it was not fertilized or plowed. So it's got a really, I can see already it's got a really low yield. I think we get kind of spoiled on triple fertilized fields with the double yield. So I don't know. I'm just trying to estimate here. I really don't know what kind of volume we're going to get out of this field, but it might not be a full 60,000, but we'll get something out of it. And we own it, which is nice. So we can always do something with it next year. And the other reason I got this field is, so if you look on the far left side of the map, about halfway up, we're in field 33 right now. I want to buy field 32 and plow these two together. Plow field 32 and 33 together and make a great big field. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. You seeing it? 10% at the end of 2 lengths of our headland. We're at 10%, which means all the way around for a headland, we'd be 20%, right? Which means we could do 5 headlands to fill this thing. I don't think this field, if you did 5 headlands, I don't think you'd have a whole lot left to harvest. And I know you'd never do 5 headlands, but you see what I'm saying. Like, if you multiply a headland by 5, look at the volume of this field, there wouldn't really be a whole lot left. So I don't know that we're, without it being fertilized, I don't know that we're going to get our money back this season on this field, but we definitely will next season. And I can also, last episode, you know, we had made kind of a mess over at the sugar beet sell point. I did get all that cleaned up. Took a while, but I got it all cleaned up, and I realized eventually that the trigger, the dump trigger on the farm truck that we have, just doesn't really get along with the trigger on the sell point for the sugar beets. So that's why we're using different tippers for that. I just couldn't quite get those 2 triggers to interact with one another, but other tippers, particularly the big semi-truck tippers, they work just fine on the trigger for the sugar beet sell point. So that's why we're using those instead of the farm truck. I think, let's do this. Let's go ahead and empty this guy one time, and then I think we'll be able to put them on lengths. I think they've got enough room to work now. Yeah, we'll get some out of this field. Not a ton. Not a ton. Now that other field, significantly bigger, and it's been triple fertilized. So if we just swap this over right like that, I think that's all we need to do. Okay, so that is going to take quite a while to fill up, which means we can run over and dump some sugar beets. And that was sort of my plan all along. So oddly enough, you know, I really never have any exact idea of how things are going to turn out, but sometimes they actually do work out sort of the way I thought they would. And even though I wanted them to work out that way, when they actually do work out that way, it's kind of a surprise to me. Interesting. Now, this is going to be interesting too, because what do we got in here? 62,000 liters of sugar beets. Ugh. Come on. Yeah. These are extremely heavy. This was the one thing that I was worried about. There we go. The one thing that I was worried about, easy, Shaky Jake. The one thing that I was worried about with a big tipper of sugar beets is they're just so incredibly heavy. Super dense. And it's a more realistic truck, so it may take us a minute to get down there. I also took 2 flatbed loads of the silage bales that we had out by the side of the road and put them back over by the dairy barn, because we will be buying cows pretty soon and we're going to need to feed them. So I want to have, we've got our hay bales and our straw bales in the barn, and now we've got our silage bales stacked right outside the barn, so when we need to put all those various bales into a feed mixer, they'll be close by. We won't have to drive around a whole lot getting like trying to chase down bales that are spread all over the farm. Oh yeah, this is going to be, and I got to do this like 15 times to get all these sugar beets out to the sell point. Game. How I love / hate this game. I really do love it. It's an awesome game, but man, it can be so, well, I mean, there's times when it can be like straight up frustrating, but there's other times when, like right now, everything's working fine. There's no problems. It's not that kind of frustration. It's just this sort of frustration, like, ugh, I gotta do all this. Really, at this point, I have to sell these sugar beets to justify the rental on all that equipment. So it's like, I mean, if you're really having bad luck with a field, you can always just plow it under and start over, pretend it never happened. But there's no way to get those sugar beets off the field. I have to sell them. And the only way to sell them is to just take trip after trip after trip out to the sell point. So it goes. Trying to think. Yeah, there's like, we have to essentially make a U-turn through the gate into the sell point, and with traffic and everything, and there's kind of a curb there, and this is not the most powerful truck, so I'm trying to think how to time this so that we can get through that process. Also, the traffic on this map is pretty aggressive, I have to say, so we gotta kind of accommodate for that as well. It's not as aggressive as Coldborough Park. Still the most aggressive traffic on any map. Like, I swear, man, that was, every driver on that map had road rage. Alright, here we go. Making our big turn. Trying to keep some momentum. Oh, it's going to be okay. This is perfect. Beautiful. Save game. I'll take it. Beautiful. Scale, and I think, yeah, we're coming up on half an hour. I think I'll go back, refill this with sugar beets, maybe empty the sunflower harvester, and we might call it an episode right there, because it's going to be essentially just more of the same, servicing that sunflower harvest and hauling sugar beets to the sell point. How's this tipper gonna do? Beautiful. Goes right in. So we should get a little bit less than 12,000 pounds out of this trailer. Let's see how we do. 11,678. Okay. And we've got, well, let's say we've got 10 more loads on the field. That's about another 120,000. I'll take it, plus the sunflowers. So I really do think we're going to be out of debt completely at the end of our first season, which is kind of a record for me. That does not happen too often. Part of it is we're on a massive farm. Even so, does not happen too often for me, so good for us. Drive all the way back here. I'm going to reload this one time with the mouse, just because I like using the mouse. It's a fun piece of equipment, and I'm looking up at glance. Our axial flow is at about 25%, so no worries there. We'll go empty that out one more time, and we won't, there really isn't a way that we can get enough sunflower to fill our tipper, our big tipper, and take it down to the sell point. I'm not going to take it down when it's 20% full. So we'll just, I don't know, maybe we'll finish our sunflower harvest next episode and start putting away equipment, maybe. And I've also thought about in fields, the two fields that we had sugar beets in, 43 and 34, thought about putting cover crop in there, and that's not something that I do very often, so that'll be another sort of experiment for this map. We may put oilseed radish in there for the winter, and then just plow it under in the spring as fertilizer and then cover the planting. So we'll see. TBD, yo. It's going to depend on running the hard manure mod. I know sometimes it can see chaff as green manure, right? And you're good to go, and other times it does not. So I don't know if the sugar beet chaff, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if it'll see that as manure and let us plow it under. But we'll find out from the first field that we did. Right, the field that the quad track is in right now, it's whatever chaff or stubble is in that field, the quad track is plowing it under, so if it does count as fertilizer, we'll be able to see before the end of the episode. Man, that's a lot of sugar beets. Full. You know where this mouse really does come in handy is if you have a big dairy operation and you have a ton of manure. This thing is great for loading your manure spreaders in the spring rather than trying to do it like one scoop at a time. I used it on, I want to say oak field. I had like 200 cows, and I would empty the barn out and just gradually fill a tipper, not a manure spreader, but just a regular tipper. Just gradually fill it, and then take it down to one of the like viable. It's not really a viable field that you can plant anything in. It's a viable field for placeables, if you know oak field. And once that was not full, but like once it was time to use all that manure, then I would take the mouse down and use that to load my manure spreaders. Right, so that thing's full. It's still running over here. Thought I turned you off. All right. So yeah, it's super handy for that. Am I going the right way? I am. So I'm curious how much of this field the harvester has taken care of, because it's at 40% right now. Looks like about half of it. All right, so it goes. We own the field now, and we'll make some money from it. It's just not a ton. Damn, he was almost done. Okay. The thing is, we really don't even need to service this guy because he's not going to be full before he gets to the end of the field. We'll do it anyway. And this thing, this auger wagon that we're hauling right now holds like 34,000 liters, so even if he was full, we wouldn't fill up either. Cool. So this will just take a second to empty. Yeah, he's only got a few more lengths. That'll just take a second to empty. And I guess there's a little more in there than I thought. Cool. And I'll go dump this, and we'll call it an episode. Where we at? 35 minutes. Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to run our quad track across this field to our right as well, field 34 that had sugar beets in it. And then, like I said, these two over here. If I have enough money, I'm going to buy this second field and we'll plow these together. But I haven't quite made up my mind about that yet. Probably will plow them together, but might not. There you go. And let's check the price. We have about 10,000 liters of sunflower. And this field, we'll say it's 3/4 done. Let's say we're going to get 12,000, 15,000 out of it. Sunflower is going for 1,300 per 1,000 liters. So if we get, okay, so we should get about 16, 18,000 pounds out of this field. Okay. I mean, it didn't pay for itself in one season as I hoped it would, but it'll still make us money fairly quickly. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 2017 from Lone Oak Farm. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.